Selamat sejahtera dan selamat Sepupus. Anwar Ibrahim will not be getting immunity.
In the status quo.
Sepupus, sing it with me. Anwar Ibrahim, no immunity for him. Anwar Ibrahim, no immunity for him. Anwar Ibrahim. You get the picture. You might remember from one of my last videos that Anwar tried to get 8 questions about whether or not he could stand trial for civil suits that he was involved in before he was the Prime Minister. That was that whole immunity hoo-ha. Well, I guess it's now settled. The High Court dismissed it and said, yup, questions posed by the Prime Minister did not cross the Section 84 of Courts Judicature Act threshold, and I quote, "None of the articles cited in the federal constitution as argued by the defendant's lawyers gave rise to any real, substantial, and justiciable questions of law that require a determination by the federal court," said Justice Ross Mawar Rosin. Wow. And to add a cherry on top, she's like, "Sorry, my hands are tied," as she hints that, oh, you know, Anwar, you can apply for an appeal, it's all G.
Which they immediately say they will.
Wow. Sepupus, what this means is that Anwar Ibrahim's trial is going to happen at 9 AM on June the 16th, which means that he's finally going to have to face Yusoff Rawther.
Anwar wants to sue me? Bring it on.
Potentially opening up the floodgates for one of the biggest dramas in the entirety of Malaysia as the Prime Minister basically appears up on the stand for a brand new round of drama. We already had Liwat 1 and 2, now the third time's the charm. So who's gonna say what's gonna happen here? What, from Banduan Terhormat to Banduan Terhormat? Who knows? With all of this right here, this means that the door of constitutional immunity is now gone. Anwar is gonna go on trial, and that means responding to Yusoff Rawther's Bring It On, potentially taking a polygraph test, testifying, explaining himself, getting watched by the entire international community and Malaysians who are just waiting to figure out what is going on with this Prime Minister, why he even tried to avoid this in the first place, and in some cases, trying to bring him down. No more Article 43, no more executive privilege. Like any citizen of Malaysia, he's gonna have to deal with the accusations and stand trial. I mean, if the court had actually agreed to refer to questions, the trial would have actually been delayed, maybe for months, and if the federal court later on had sided with him, then that would mean that basically he would be literally just immune to anything that he had done in the past. Not in his current term, which is something that I explained in my long essay the other day, which some of you actually read. Thank you for that. But it would have actually turned the Prime Minister's office into a legal safe zone. But well, none of that is possible anymore, and the entire world is watching. The opposition was already asking to witness the proceedings for the constitutional questions, and I think all of social media was already like wondering like, what's going to be the result here? So people are going to be talking, 100 million articles are going to be written as media flowers bloom, and Yusoff Rawther is finally going to get that showdown that he wanted with Anwar for the longest time. At least he's going to get that fight if Anwar doesn't file an appeal.
As I told you, he is.
But if Anwar files an appeal and that appeal isn't accepted, then that's gonna end up looking bad, and if he loses that appeal, then it's gonna look even worse before he even gets into the courtroom. I mean, for all we know, Anwar could very well avoid the battle even more by kind of pulling an Ismail Sabri and then saying like, oh, sorry, demam hari ini, or my dog died, or do some sorts of wild things out there ranging from pleading to Yusoff Rawther to settle out of court, offering $50 million, stay on proceedings. It'll be really funny if he just decides to start to jaga tepi kain for like 100 different other people out there. Distract the media. Another 15 rallies for Palestine as Nurul Izzah shares 100 Instagram stories as they try everything to distract the rakyat. But is it gonna work? Probably not, honestly. At the end of the day, this is gonna be bad. From an optics standpoint, I think that this is really a complete disaster. Like, it's part of like a perfect storm, I think. Like we saw from PKR deputy president elections the other day, infighting is still ongoing even now as the car accident is in full motion. The opposition is watching and people are wondering why Anwar even asked those questions in the first place, concluding well, if you weren't guilty, you wouldn't even ask those questions, you wouldn't try to appeal for immunity, you would just stand trial like an anak jantan. He could argue that, well, saya diperalatkan secara politik, I am a victim, prisoner of conscience, Asian Nelson Mandela, as it seems some Singaporeans actually believe, but he is going to go through hell and back as a result of this trial, which I'm pretty sure is going to be one of the most watched cases in the entirety of Malaysia's history. Basically, Liwat 3 with a sitting Prime Minister. He can come up with 100 different narratives of political persecution, banduan terhormat or anything else, but none of them are going to work.
But well,
you know, a small part of me hopes that he's gonna survive this just because past is so devastatingly bad that y'all would casually choose a potato over both Anwar Ibrahim and also Hadi Awang. But it's not an excuse to avoid justice. If there's really something that's bad that actually happened, then I think that we do need to talk about it as a nation. I think Malaysia has been pretty clear about that. That's what you guys want, and now we're going to get it. And yeah, June 16 is going to be a really wild time. And if you're a Malaysian, I think that you have to kind of be like careful out there. You don't know what is going to actually happen along the way, like whether it's going to be like state of emergency or some sort of weird stuff. I genuinely hope that that's not going to be the case. But as you know, pretty much anything can happen out there in this country. Well, good luck PMX, good luck Yusoff Rawther, and may justice win. Alright, that's all I have to say about that, and bye.